Hey guys, it's the corner of Filament, the corner of fun. It's getting a little bit windy out here. And today I was going to show you something that I worked on actually quite a while ago. And I'm just now getting around to actually doing a video on it and recording it. So, to put it to you simply, what you see before you is a chess set and checkers, because you can play them both on the same board. Now, I'm pretty certain this is how you properly set up the chess set.
You want me to zoom in on it?
If you want to.
I'll try to zoom in on it.
I'm not the perfect one at setting up chess.
Okay.
Not very good at chess. I'm not very patient. I get bored sitting there. But it is what it is. Now, this is a small, scaled down version of checkers and chess. And people expressing their Second Amendment rights, as you can hear in the background. And the reason why I scaled this down is actually interesting. I had no intentions of doing this until I heard that some high schoolers were doing a challenge similar to a skills competition that was held last year, and I heard about how they were trying to make their setups basically portable or travel friendly. And I got this very specific idea for a chess set in my head. And I thought, okay, I'll make that. That interests me enough to make a set and print it out. And so that's what I did. And then I threw in the checkers because I was like, well, they're little tiny pieces. You add them on. You know, you have 2 games. So this has been scaled down so that each tile that you work off of is a 20 millimeter square. And there are, if my math serves me right now off the top of my head, should be 64 I believe, because there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 8 on both sides to make a big square, so 8 times 8 is 64. Now, that total equals a 160 millimeter square. Now, I wanted to go small enough to print out on the one how, which has a 200 by 200 bed. Of course, mine's a little bit smaller because of my nozzle scrubber, but I wanted to go small because of the other reason, traveling. You don't want a big set that you have to lug around. So I broke it up, and the reason why I didn't do 25 millimeter squares is I like my square numbers, 20, 20, 160. I like how those are nice and not like 203 or 195 or something like that. So it's quite small, and there is no edges on this board. So there's no outer edge, there's no edge in between each square that you use. There is none of that. That has been taken out. We don't need to waste that space. Now, the board that you print out, because you may be using a one-colored printer, I made it a height-based board. So one set or one color is lower than the other set or color. So it's not a color-based difference, it is a height-based difference. And of course you could color it after printing, but if you didn't want to do that, you would have a height-based difference to work off of. Now it does mean that some pieces are lower and some are higher than others, but hey, you gotta work with what you got. Now this board actually, this one right here, even though I could print it whole, I broke it up even more. So I cut it into 4 squares.
Let me show them.
So that way, if you have an even smaller printer, or if you have a small case and you don't want to print out a whole board, you now have a smaller solution. And I didn't print out the one piece because it's the same board. This one's just broken up. So I did break it up, and there is the whole version. And I also said, okay, maybe I don't want to take the time and Filament to print out the board. So I made a paper version of the board. Actually 2. One has an edge and one doesn't. That's the only difference. I've actually got this board sitting
Let's
on,
see if I can get
sitting
the paper
on top of the board without an edge. Yes, I did try to make them as accurate to each other as possible in size. So if I remove that,
Okay, yeah,
you can
I
see
it.
that the board is sitting on a paper board. So that way, it's just a sheet of paper. You can roll it up. If it gets torn out, you can print. If it gets torn up, you can print out another one. I picked orange and green because they're not as bold as white and black. I mean, you can change the colors however you like in whatever software you want to use. So, got our checkers, which are a lot simpler than chess, because chess has a lot of different pieces than checkers. So checkers, you got your top with your rings.
See if I can. Yep.
Those are fin rings. You
want to turn it sideways?
may not be able to print them, or you may have a hard time. But I wanted rings on it for gripping. And the bottom of it has a K for your king. So if you make it to the other side and you want to be a king, you have a king, you just flip it over, and voila, you have your king. So the white ones are the same way. It's just a different color. Now, checkers, that was a addition. So that's not what I was initially doing. That was I'll add that in. It's not going to take much time. It's not going to add much in terms of weight and stuff. It'll work with the traveling kit. So here is the rook.
Let's see if I can zoom in on him.
And I did initially base my men, as they call them, off of what I believe was the most common chess set, where you have a castle as your rook, the horse head as the knight. Now I did differentiate once I got up towards the king and queen, but I did try to leave in some similarities. And so what makes this special, and why I wanted to do this so much, is because you print these pieces out flat. As you can see, it is 2 different pieces. They are the same shape, but they have different cutout areas. And then you slide them together, and you have your piece.
Easy carry around.
It's easy to print, too, but it's also, don't let it fool you, it is a difficult print in that it has tolerances. So if your tolerances aren't right, your pieces will either be loose or they will be tight. So it's a deceptive print. Now it looks easy, but printing them flat means that you don't have to deal with overhangs. Now, all these pieces except for one are the same piece with different cutouts, and that is the knight, or the horse head. It just looked funny to use the same piece for the horse head. It looked strange and weird.
Turn it.
So if you see, he's got his ears.
Yeah.
And
Okay, there, I'm getting it. Yeah.
It looked weird if I didn't do him like that.
Yeah.
So.
Makes sense. Okay, I got him. Whoop.
There we go. And yep, if you don't want to take them apart and then put them together every time you set your pieces up, you can just glue them.
Mm-hmm.
Now there's the bishop in all of his glory.
Mm-hmm.
Now, of course, after the bishop, we have the king. This is the king. So as you can see, he looks kind of like a bigger bishop, but I tried to make that a crown-like shape.
Mm-hmm.
And he is the tallest of the men. I did create the men with the scale of the pawns being the smallest and the king being the biggest, and everybody else has a ratio height increment. It's hard to tell on this board, but that's only because, like I said, it's a height board. So, and here is the queen.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And of course, the piece that you will have to be printing out the most and the smallest of the men, your pawns. So, got your little pawns that you print out. And of course, they go in the front. So yeah, and of course I've got both of my sides printed. I print them out in different colors. So if I set them out, let's see, right here, knight, rook, pawn, rook, knight, bishop, queen, king. You should be able to see the height increment increase.
Let me move it. Yeah.
So he's the smallest, he is the tallest, and it's a line. It's a line.
Yeah.
I did the maths.
Kind of like stir steps.
I did the maths on that. So yeah, all these pieces they come apart like that.
Now it's easy travel and easy storage.
Yep. And like I said, if you don't want to take them apart or they're loose, you can always take and glue them together. So, like I said, you got your checker model. You've got all the chess models. You got 2 board models. I've only got 1 out. And I've got 2 printout boards as well. Like I said, only difference is one has this black edge and this one doesn't. Some people like edges, some people don't. But I think it's a great travel kit, especially if you have a smaller 3D printer, because all these pieces, well, all the men, as they call them, are smaller than the board itself, if you think about it. So that means that if you cannot print out the board, but you can print out the men on your 3D printer, then maybe, just maybe, you might have access to a 2D printer and you can print out the board on the paper. And paper is lighter than plastic, and you can roll up your board, or you could cut it if you wanted, or you could do a variety of things with it that would make it probably better than a 3D printed board. Longer life, I don't know on that one. I mean, that is paper and this is plastic. But yeah, this has been my my chess set. I've currently been calling it the super simple chess and checkers set. So the SSCCS for short, because you can do chess or checkers. They're simple designs if you think about it. They are simple designs. They're just two 2D designs put together. You know, you got your chess or your checkers, and it's a whole set. You know, you got your board, all your pieces, all that fun time. You know, it's not a full size set, but I was going for the traveling theme. I've not made a case for them. I don't know if there's a real big need for a case. I mean, some people would print a case, but I think a lot of people would find other ways of packing them into whatever they're wanting to put them into. And a case might make it a little bit big, you know. It may make it bigger than it has to be. So I hadn't really made a case. I know that if you're taking them apart, it'd be great to have a case to put them in. But, you know, like I've just been putting them in bags and sticking them into whatever pouch in my book bag if I want to take it with me. And making a case would make it harder to stick it in that pouch. So I hadn't made an actual case for it. But get you some baggies, or find, you know, if you can find a way. Maybe one of y'all can make a case for it. So I'll have these posted up on my normal sites that I post on. I'll be sure to include stuff like tolerances. That's what I normally do, and all that fun stuff. After I get them all ran through to make sure that the files are not got any errors and everything like that. So yeah, thanks for watching. If you like this, I have other videos, I have other projects, such as signs. I've been working on signs recently, so if you like that, there'll be an end screen coming up after this. You know, you click on some of those videos. Subscribe if you like. Anyways, thanks for watching.